Hi, my name is Officer Ben. I have a glorious mustache. My pronouns are he, him. I'm wearing a shirt that says suck it. And today we're talking about the incident where the ATF went to a man's house asking to see his firearms. Alright, so I'm assuming that most of you have already seen this video. If you haven't, I'm going to talk about it for a minute and then we're going to watch the video and talk about what happened. So in the state of Delaware, must be some kind of task force with the ATF and some state troopers or state police, I'm not sure exactly what they are, where when you purchase more than 2 firearms, a list is generated. And then what they are doing is they're going to people's houses and they're trying to verify that these people are not making straw purchases. A straw purchase is when a qualified individual like myself goes and buys firearms and then gives them to someone that they know is not qualified to buy that firearm on their own. So if I were to buy a gun, a Glock 19, and I went and give it to my neighbor who is a rapist, that would be a straw purchase. The idea of straw purchases is it's a serious matter. It's a crime, and it happens a lot more in different ways than I think most people understand. One of the most common ways, at least to my knowledge, is that you have all these gang members and drug dealers and violent people, and they've all been convicted of felony offenses, which prohibits them from buying a firearm. So what they do is they take their baby moms and girlfriends and unwitting little 21-year-old girls that think that they're going to be cool and play gangster for a while. They take these women to gun stores. Those women buy all the firearms. They bring them back to the house, and then the gang members distribute those firearms. That is a very common way of straw purchasing firearms. It's not uncommon for one of these baby moms to go and buy a basket of multiple guns, but I think in most cases, a lot of these people are smart enough not to do that because they know it's going to put them on a list. But anyway, that's what's happening here. These guys are basically going out and checking everybody off of this list that's bought multiple firearms. And they're trying to say, we just want to verify that you're not making straw purchases. Let us see your guns. That's what's happening in this video. If you haven't seen it, it's only a minute long. Here it is. This was captured on Ring video camera, or like someone's Ring doorbell. When these guys came up and rang the bell, he let it record and he put the interaction out on the internet.
Sure.
Yeah.
Okay, that's all I'm doing is verify that. Look, verifying that you have it. You got 2 different purchases.
Okay.
If you have them, I'm out of here. That's how quick it is. Yeah. You have them with you by any chance? Are they? If you can unload them and bring them out, or you can go out to your foyer here, check them out, by serial number, and we're out of here.
That's it?
Yep.
That's it. It'll take 5 seconds.
The reason we're out here is we're obviously gun violence has been an uptick, so we want to make sure we've been having a lot of issues with straw purchases. So one of the things indicators that we get is somebody makes like a large gun purchase, and then a lot of times we've been there like, oh, those guns got taken. We're like,
so the idea is when you purchase more than 2 guns at a time, it generates a multiple cell report. And it comes to us and we have to check them out. Okay. That's all that is. You did nothing wrong. Did absolutely zero. I noticed that you were stopped in Philly though, right? With one of your guns?
Alrighty, so there you have it. I want to try to keep this as simple as possible. And I guess the first thing I want to say is I've seen a lot of people say this is illegal. Well, this is not illegal. They did not violate this man's rights. The reason for that is take the Second Amendment out of it for a second. Take the fact that they're talking about guns away for a moment. A police officer is allowed to walk up on any person's porch that they want to, knock on the door, and ask that person a question. That is perfectly legal. If that person comes to the door and answers questions, that is also legal, as long as the officers are doing it the right way. Now, if you have the helicopter overhead, you have cruisers out in front and back with lights on, the house is surrounded, you come to the door and you see somebody pointing a weapon at you, and then they say, "We see that you purchased some guns. We would like to see them." Okay, that would be a little bit different. What these officers are doing, they're doing this in a very casual manner. They're doing it in a very non-threatening manner, and they are negotiating with you, trying to convince you to comply with what it is that they're asking. That is 100% perfectly legal, whether we're talking about the Second Amendment or not. The next part of this is, are you required to comply with this request? The answer to that question is no. I don't know if I said it yet, but this is a consensual encounter. These officers are politely requesting for information. Like I said, try to keep the Second Amendment out of it for a minute, because these rules are universal. Everybody gets very excited, very nervous, and it creates a lot of emotion when you bring the Second Amendment to it. I understand that, but in order to intelligently talk about this, you have to look at it as a universal question. So the officers come up and they knock on your door and they ask you a question. Are you required to answer that question? No, you are not required to answer that question. So when police officers come to your door and they say, hey, look, we see that you've bought a whole bunch of firearms. We would like to verify that those firearms are here so that you're not making illegal straw purchases and becoming part of this violence problem that we have in our community. You can say, okay, I understand what you're doing, but no, I'm not going to show you my firearms. If you say, no, I'm not going to show you anything and I would like you to leave, they're probably going to turn around and leave. They might try to convince you. They might take a couple more stabs at it. That's what I would do if I was trying to gain information from somebody. But ultimately, if you do not comply with what they're asking, you're within your legal rights. That is because of the Fourth Amendment. This whole thing is more of a Fourth Amendment issue than a Second Amendment issue, if you ask me, at least for the realm of understanding. I think what happened in this case was that the guy went ahead and complied. He got his firearms, he showed them, and they left. In the grand scheme of things, I imagine this guy's not doing anything wrong. He has nothing to fear, and that they will never be knocking on his door again. But as a overall concept, you are not required to answer these questions when the police arrive. If it wasn't a Second Amendment thing, if the police are knocking on your door asking about a murder that happened across the street, whatever, these are all different situations that you're going to have to evaluate for yourself whether or not you want to answer the officer's questions. But this is a particular one that these are deep-rooted constitutional issues, and I would encourage people not to comply with these kinds of requests. The government doesn't need to know where you keep your guns, and that's pretty much the end of it. And you're not required to give that information. I don't know how to say it any more simply. I don't think this is one you need to overcomplicate. If the officers are well within their rights to come and ask these questions. They may or may not be on board with what they're being told to do, but it is what it is. Officers are asked to go and investigate stupid stuff all the time. Yeah, you don't have to answer their questions. You don't have to show them your guns. I think that what's happening in Delaware is a stupid thing. I'd be pissed if I was these officers and I was ordered to go out and do this. If I was ordered to go out and do this, I would probably do it in a similar manner to what they did. And if somebody told me, no, you're not going to see my firearms and I'm not going to talk to you about them anymore, I'd probably say, all right, see you later. And I'd walk away. That's the end of it. Any questions? I didn't think so.